Sandy interrupts me like 15 times. Are you on camera? Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
As a matter of fact, I am.
Yeah. Do it. All right. All right. Let us call this meeting to order. It is the Town of Mancos Board of Trustees, October 23rd, 2024. And let us please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Cindy Simpson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhorter.
Here.
Trustee McManus. Trustee David Payton.
Here.
Trustee Daniel Honey.
Here.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
Here.
Trustee Corey Jabor.
All right. The next item is approval of the agenda. We've been handed a revised agenda, and so I would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to revise the agenda and add under discussion and action items number 6, objection to HR 3557 revised.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and the next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of October 9, 2024. Any comments, concerns, questions, corrections? And if not, I would look for a motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 9, 2024. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item on our agenda is the Housing Assessment Legislative Update by Shaq Powers from Region 9.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, show of hands. How many of you would rather be here tonight than in the best jail facility in the county?
What do they have for dinner?
I don't know, probably something pretty good. All right, well, I'm glad you're all here then. Thank you for having me, Council. Good evening to everybody. Hope you're all doing well. So what I'm here to talk about tonight, and I can kind of see it on that screen, but it's Senate Bill 24-174. It was a gift to you from the legislature this spring, and it involves housing. And what this bill basically does is it requires every jurisdiction within the state that has a population of 1,000 or greater to complete a housing needs assessment every 6 years, and then the following year to create a housing action plan. And there's a lot of requirements. This is a preview for you, Commissioner, because I'll be coming in a couple of weeks to see you at the county and let you know too. So take good notes so you can explain it to them all before I get there. It's going to require a housing needs assessment every 6 years. The following year, a housing action plan, and it has stringent requirements from that. So I'll do my best to answer any questions that the board has tonight. But Jason, if you'll scroll down to page 5 to where I have it highlighted, please. And I don't know if you can blow that up to where everybody can see it or not, but what I have highlighted there says that no later than December 31st, 2024, the director, that's the Division of Local Governments, shall develop reasonable methodologies for conducting statewide, regional, and local housing needs assessments. So while I will do my best to answer questions, just know that the division hasn't finished developing their guidelines yet, so some questions I may not be able to answer. And I don't know, when you're talking to people who are running for the legislature, you might tell them to have something developed before they vote it into law rather than vote it into law and then develop it. I don't know. That's just
There's still like a month and a half left before it's needed,
right,
according to the bill. So why would they have it now?
Yeah, why have it before you vote on it? That's silly talk. Jason, if you'll scroll down to, I believe it's page 25. Or 26, sorry, the bottom of page 26. It's section 24, 32, 3017. Yeah. So, one of the things that comes to mind with this, because it's like, do we really need to do a plan every 6 years? And so the first thing that I thought of is, well, what if jurisdictions with 1,000 choose not to do it? So the answer is found in this, administered by the, let's see, prioritization for conformity with planning expectations on or after December 1st, 2027. Any grant program administered by the department, the Colorado Energy Office, the Office of Economic Development, that's also Economic Development and International Trade, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Natural Resources, the Department of Public Health and Environment, or the Department of Personnel and Administration that awards grants to counties and municipalities for the use of supporting land use, planning, or housing, excluding land use, planning, or housing pursuant to yada, yada, yada. Must, so long as doing so is not inconsistent with federal law or the state constitution, include prioritization criteria that considers whether a current local or regional housing needs assessment has been completed for the local government and has been accepted by the department pursuant to that section, and a housing action plan has been adopted by the local government and accepted by the department. So the stick that they've included in this legislation is that if you don't comply, you're going to be scored lower for grant applications from CDOT, from CDPHE, from DNR, from all the other places you're accustomed to getting grants to. So I think it's a fairly heavy stick, but that is the stick that they have put in there. In Region 9, if you'll go to the next PDF, please, Jason. I've compiled a list of our subject communities. So at the top there, highlighted, what I have is a direct copy and paste from the bill itself. The local government is exempt from the requirements of this section if the local government participates in the creation of a regional housing needs assessment every 6 years, or the local government has a population of less than 1,000. And so our subject communities are listed at the bottom there. As you can see, Mancos has a population of 1,238 according to the last census. So you can either comply, stay eligible for grants, not comply and be ineligible for grants, or ask 250 people to leave. I don't know which one you want to do. But according to this, you are subject to either doing on your own or participate in a regional housing needs assessment. And regional doesn't have to be Region 9, right? It could be like Montezuma County does one, includes the 3 communities, and Montezuma and Dolores team up and do 2 communities, or it could be all of the Region 9. So there hasn't, you can choose to participate however you want. The bill does set aside some money for this. For those of you that have paid for housing needs assessments before, they can be anywhere from, I think the one you guys just did with Harris and Associates Commissioner was $50,000 or $60,000, right? And a lot of people are paying $80,000 or more, and call it a hunch. I don't know when 64 counties and 200 municipalities have to do this with the same number of consultants, my bet is the price goes up. If anybody wants to take me up on that bet, I'm happy to shake it. So what I'm saying is, they're creating a fund to pay for this, but it's not going to be enough. It's going to be through a competitive grant process, and it's going to be oversubscribed.
Yay, unfunded mandate.
Another unfunded mandate. Keep adding to the list. So if you go to the third PDF, Jason, I've put together a table. This table is not included in the bill. I just went through the bill and pulled out the requirements. So a lot of what the requirements are, we can pull already with an AI tool that's available at that localhousingsolutions.org, but not all of the requirements, right? So we're going through, what I'm trying to do on behalf of the region is to create a template that we can just plug and play rather than reinventing this sucker every 6 years. But not all of these items are going to be available. Some of them are really interesting. I didn't even know some of these existed until I started digging through this bill. But like if you scroll down, Jason, to page 5, the second one on page 5. Yeah, right there. It says to identify areas that qualify as disadvantaged as determined with the climate and economic justice screening tool. Show of hands, how many of you knew that that tool existed before today? Not you, Jason, you're on the call. Anyways, we found it and how to use it. But so it definitely includes some things that are not in your standard housing needs assessment. I understand that the town of Mancos has just had a housing needs assessment done. It was probably presented to the board relatively recently by Ayers and Associates. I think it was somewhat subgrouped under the one that Montezuma County had done. So we are advocating to the Division of Housing and to DOLA the housing needs assessments that have been completed that recently, if we could just do an addendum with the material that wasn't included. So we're going to be pulling for that on your behalf. We don't have a firm answer from the state on that yet. There is another call about that on Friday at 10:30. Jason has the invite to that, and maybe they'll give us a firm answer then. But my point in coming here this evening was to make the council aware so that when Jason shows up and says, I need money for a housing needs assessment, he said, we just did a housing needs assessment, kind of understand what he's talking about, then have an idea for what's going to happen with this going forward. And like I said, I am working to try to put together a template so that we can plug and play some of this and not be constantly reinventing the wheel. But that's what I have to say about 174. I'm happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Yeah. Is there any talk about like a rotating schedule so that everyone in the state isn't trying to do it the same year?
You would think that would make sense. However, the legislation as it's written in law does not allow for that. It gives a firm deadline for the first one. The year after that, the Division of Local Affairs and the Division of Housing is supposed to use all of those compiled at one time to complete a statewide housing needs assessment. So also I think it's kind of interesting that some of this information is only updated in the census, which is done every 10 years, but they've just updated every 6 years. But I'm not a legislature, so.
Okay.
Yay.
Is there a list of consultants? Like, how do you find consultants do this? Are they vetted?
Yeah, there are several lists, and I'm gonna say there's not there's a handful of them, like 3 to 7 in the state, but I mean, they're gonna be busy when we're trying to do 250
was gonna say, rather you straight to the town, just farm Jason out.
We hire heirs and associates.
Yeah.
Well, and what I was gonna say was, after you guys hear back as to can we use ours and just do an addendum, the one we have now, just do an addendum. Maybe at that point, Jason will bring this issue back to the board and say, yep, we can use this and just add this, so we'll let you know, or,
Yeah.
sorry, we need to do a whole other one and we'll keep you posted. But once you guys get that answer, maybe then we'll bring it to the board and say, here's the direction we have to move in,
Mm-hmm.
and that will you guys will stay updated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Does that work for the board?
Yeah.
Any further questions from the board?
Is this a punishment for not wanting statewide zoning?
I'm not gonna say no to that. I mean, I don't know what the motivation of the people in the legislature that passed this is, but
Yeah.
I think that's just as valid a point as any other.
Okay. Thank you.
If you did have to put a motivation on it, what?
I would say there's well-intentioned devils that have ideas about things, and they think they're being helpful. They know that housing is an issue, and in typical government fashion, they want to study it to death. I mean, I could summarize it for the whole state in a couple of sentences. We don't have enough houses, and what there are is too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, unless you've spent $60,000 on a study, how would you really know that for sure?
You're hired.
Yeah, as you say, you're in something.
There you go. I'm not sure those two sentences meet all the criteria.
Probably not.
If you sign it really big, you might not know this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sign the slot. Any
All
further
right.
questions?
No, thank you.
No, thank
All right,
you.
So you're all so enlightened, you don't need to ask anything, or so confused you don't know what to ask.
And you just did an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
I'm gonna be spending a lot of time.
When the shock wears off, we'll maybe have some questions.
When the shack wears them?
Yeah, when the shack wears off. All right. Well, that was fun. And now the next item on the agenda is Mancus United presentation, which I'm sure Katie will be more upbeat than that.
Oh, yeah, more uplifting. I very much appreciate that. Shack and everything.
Yeah.
And very responsive to our questions.
So, Katie, for the record, if you can just say your name and your address and
Yes.
all that jazz.
Katie McClure, Executive Director for Mancus United, and I also live at 6554 Road 21 in Mancus. So I'm here to talk about Mancus Summer Hub. Most of you know that this was designed not as something cool we thought we could do or we thought we were good at, but it was designed in response to what we heard from the community. We heard that summers were really hard for kids, nothing to do. We heard that summers was really hard for parents, excruciatingly hard. We heard really sad, awful, scary stories from parents about what they have to do to survive and continue to work or give up their employment to make summers work. And employers, that's our busy season. That's when we need our employees to show up. So we heard lots of challenges around summer. So we said, let's give this a shot. Let's do an all day, all week, all summer day camp for kids. It served incoming kindergartners to incoming 8th graders. We still need a teen center. I'm just going to plug that. Teens don't want a program. Don't support any programs for teens. Support a teen center where they can hang out, be safe, be themselves. But we did serve over 100 kids this past summer. Almost a third were school staff kids. So our school staff really, really needed this. But the headline of tonight is that the kids who attended Mancus Summer Hub scored 10 percentage points higher on their academic testing this fall. We didn't do any academic tutoring, programming, nothing. What we did do was very intentionally design it to regulate nervous systems. So one thing we've learned a lot about is what creates toxic stress. Good stress is good stress. We like stress. When it gets toxic, that's not good. Our bodies and brains and nervous systems really start to hardwire into a fear response. Fight, flight, fear, freeze, appease. So we all know what that feels like. We looked at what heals that, and we designed that into Make a Summer Hub. So I do want to mention the academics went up, parent stress went down drastically, more than I could have dreamed about. They went from having, on our surveys, if we didn't have Summer Hub, how high would your stress be? All 8, 9, 10s. If with Summer Hub, what was your stress level? All 0, 1, 2, 3. So it was just very dramatic. If I had a printer and it worked, I'd give you a handout that showed it to you, but I can catch you later on that. That stress went down for 2 reasons. They knew their kids were safe and cared for. They didn't have to juggle a bunch of programming, and they could get to work. They could keep their job. That's what we heard from them. What we do know is that when kids are more regulated, their nervous systems, well, we know academics go up. Classroom behaviors settle, so teachers can teach. Then you add onto that, then their grades go up, then their graduation rates go up, then their employment levels go up. So you can follow that track for years and years. When we have less stressed parents, then they're showing up to work more engaged. You put the 2 of those together and you have less stressed homes. Last summer, the marshal told us he saw a drop in youth crime, enough that they could focus on the more serious issues. We haven't had a chance to talk this summer, but so I'm hoping we had something similar. But when we have all that, the science will tell you, the data will tell you, and it's hard data that's been documented over decades, you have improved health outcomes over decades. You have way lower instances of disease, you have way lower instances of suicide, way lower instances of substance use and any type of problem-solving behaviors. So it's all good. We do this, when I talked about, we've learned a lot about how you heal toxic stress and what we embedded in this. But in lay terms, it's belonging, it's connection, and it's fun. The PhDs will use different fancy words, but they will also agree, and you'll see lots of books. I have stacks of books, stacks of data, stacks of training manuals that all say, narrow it down to belonging, connection, and fun. This is one of the best books I have on the topic that's a layperson's read. It's called What Happened to You. Highly recommend. The library just got a few copies at my recommendation. Hand in Hand has a copy, at least one, so you can pick it up, you can borrow it, but strong recommendation because this is stuff that works everywhere, not just in schools with kids, it works with adults. The other one I learned from this book that's new, that we embedded unknowingly, is rhythm. Rhythm is healing. And that's a no-brainer when you think about it. What do we do when we feel stressed? We listen to music. Some of us dance. Some of us do drumming. Some of us walk in nature. They do sports, bouncing, basketball. All of these rhythmic things are healing our nervous systems. So with that comes the fun part of this, which is it's a 4.5-minute video, and most of it's fun. There's a little data at the end because I can't avoid that. Why don't you go ahead and play it?
There we go.
one of the stories in this book is about Waco. You know Waco? The guy who wrote this book was put in charge of all the kids that came out. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but long story short, what he describes in here, he was asked to do therapy, he was asked to do intensive therapy because these kids had just been through something terrible. He does talk about some of the detail, but what he ended up doing was almost exactly this. Because bite-sized moments of healing with the right parent adult who matches your needs, who can address what you need in that moment, whether it's movement, whether it's being silly, whether it's talking, whether it's being quiet, those all heal, sometimes more effectively than therapy. So it's a really, really good book. Shout out to maybe school district who donated their space, coordinated the food, kept it clean. We were not very clean, so they did a lot. Shout out to the Colorado Department of Education who funded the whole dang thing the last 2 years. My ask of you is to please tell this story in every setting you find yourself in. We don't know how we're going to pay for this work. The benefits are proven. It's a no-brainer. I don't know why our legislature doesn't pick this up and do something with it, but anything you can do to help us inform any grants that might be out there, inform any policy changes that might be on the hook. We did also pay our teachers really well. Our staff, we attracted teachers. Some of them got paid more than we do at the school district. But we want that to inform teacher pay because it works. We retained them. They were all satisfied. We had all the same teachers who were still in town the second year. This is good stuff. I'll tell the story.
Thank you.
Just because it was a 2-year grant.
It's a 2-year grant, and it required that we make it free to everybody, so we couldn't charge. Next year, we do have a plan. We actually surveyed parents so we know who could pay full price, who could pay half price, who could pay, so we have numbers to inform that. So we'll do a sliding scale, and then we're building up a scholarship fund.
Nice.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. What's the cost for the summer hub? What is the cost for, because not the attendance cost,
Yeah,
but the cost, the overall cost of the program for Make Us United for 1 summer? Do you know?
$120,000 roughly. It's about $2,000 a kid for the entire summer. It's about $90 a day, which is expensive when you look at other summer programs and super ridiculously cheap when you look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Announcements?
I do have a couple of announcements. Next week I will be up in northern Colorado for the Adult Energy Impact hearings for the Tier 2 application. So I'll be working remotely Monday and Thursday afternoon. Tuesday and Wednesday I'll be out of pocket because I'm on that committee. The board has talked about the upgrades to the pedestrian crossing at Beach Street, the upgrade to the lights and the push buttons. So I've received the quote from CDOT, I've received the MOU from CDOT, so we will see that on the next agenda. Total cost for the upgraded ADA push buttons and the light bar underneath instead of embedded is $7,500. So it's under my purchasing authority and our purchasing policies. So we're gonna, I'll get the MOU and all the information to you next meeting for a final decision.
I was anticipating more zeros.
I was too. Like within 5 minutes, I was like, yes, please go.
Yeah, run, go do it, quick.
So I received some information about alternative energy at our water plants and our wastewater treatment plants. Our engineering firm did do some research for us years ago, so I've reached out to them again and said, hey, has anything changed that might make this possible? If they feel that it's worth investigating, I'll be pulling in other staff, going to the board and that kind of thing. But in case you are hearing about that, it's a NOFA from the state. So in case those of you who receive those here that know that we're looking into it on our end. We took a timber age tour today. It was amazing. I wanted to ask you all if you are interested in touring the facility now while they're getting set up. And then maybe in a couple of months when they're actually producing on a regular basis. I found it incredibly interesting. Is that something that the board would like me to work on?
This is the house
The
building.
one over in Vegas.
Yeah.
Kimberly, they're producing the townhomes. So are you interested in seeing that facility now, or do you want to wait till the end, or would you like to see both?
Oh,
I'd like to see both.
Yeah, both.
All right, so I will work on that and bring that back to you. So Mayor Simpson and Trustee Hennig and Marshall Goodall and I attended the joint meeting last night with the school board and the SRO committee to finalize that MOU. So you will see that at the next board meeting, the first meeting in November. You will see that information for approval and signature authorization. I don't know if the board has any input on that.
just kind of a general thing. I mean, we'll all see the MOU, but I felt like everybody was there to make it happen. And that was really cool that we were able to collaborate and work through it. And yeah, it was really neat.
And then just a reminder that the Dale Failure Tabletop exercise being coordinated by Jim Spratlin on Zimmer County is scheduled for us. It starts at 3 p.m. on Friday, November 1st, and it runs through Sunday, November 3rd. I know that the mayor and the mayor pro tem are attending, and I am so sorry. One of you also, okay, thank you, David, because I was like, somebody told me after a meeting. So, David Payton will also be attending. So I'm going to notice that public hearing, even though it technically doesn't, we're not making any decisions or discussing town business. There's some rating there, so I'm going to put it on the door just to be safe.
Okay. And so that we need to meet over at the firehouse, which is across the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
3 p.m. Friday, November 1st. And then one quick question for you all, and this is just a estimate. CML conference this year is in Breckenridge from June 24th to June 26th in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Who is planning on attending that? Okay, so I've got Cindy for CML. Again, it goes back to housing. Within 5 minutes of them saying reservations are open, housing is booked.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, because Jamie and I sit on, it's almost like bidding on tickets on Ticketmaster. We just refresh till we get there. So Cindy is planning on attending. Is anybody else thinking they can? Okay, Nick. Not that you can't make this decision moving forward, but I'm going to try to reserve some rooms on site. We can always get rooms on site.
Yeah, the on-site is so much more helpful.
All right. So I think what I'll do is we'll reserve 4 rooms because I do have a trustee who's absent, and then just in case anybody else in I'm planning on joining. So okay, those are all of the announcements that I have. I don't think that anybody else, Justin, go ahead.
Fundraiser tomorrow for Southwest. Sorry, speaking to you guys. So we brought this up at P&Z last week. So the Southwest Hospital Memorial Hospital's Foundation is having a fundraiser tomorrow night. It's in Cortez from 5 to 7 at
Wild Edge.
Brew. Yes, and it's going to raise funds to bring new equipment to the Vegas. So.
She apologized for having me in Cortez. She scheduled a fundraiser, and then after it was scheduled, they told her that it was for the Vegas clinic.
That's all right. There's more people over there. You get their money and bring it over here. Perfect.
The fundraiser is for to bring prenatal care to Memphis, to get like the machinery at the clinic here, to be able to offer prenatal care, like ultrasounds and things like that over here.
You don't support proper organization.
No, this is their foundation.
This is the foundation.
Yes, foundation.
Yeah.
It's like the
They're
Friends of the
501c3.
Hospital. Instead of Friends of the Library, Friends of the Hospital.
Totally.
Cool.
Okay. Any other staff announcements? Any board announcements? All right. So moving on, Committee reports. Montezuma County Commissioner update. Gerald.
Good evening, everybody. Couple things. I'm sure some of you've heard that Jenny Lynn has moved on from being our county court judge. And our county attorney applied for that position and was appointed by the governor to be the county court judge now. So we will have an open county attorney position to fill. I think Ian's going to be his swearing in is like on the 18th of November. He's going to stick with us for a while to help us out and try to get everything going, but we're going to have to fill that position, so it's going to be one of the things coming up. Of course, just like everybody else, we've been working on our budget and trying to get a proposed budget before we come forward. Still a big issue in Montezuma County because somewhere between $1 million and $2 million is going to have to come out of reserves just to maintain what we have now. The services that we're providing right now, it's going to take that much out of reserves just to make up for what we're going to be lacking. The other thing I'm sure some of you have heard some of the stuff that's going on the Colorado River as far as the negotiations for how they're going to run the reservoirs in the next few years. They actually reached some agreement, the Bureau of Reclamation reached some agreement with the lower basin here just recently to reduce another 700,000 acre feet of use down on the lower basin, which will probably add somewhere between 8 and 10 feet in Lake Mead. But they still, as far as how they're going to manage those reservoirs, it's still not worked out yet. So the guidelines right now are until 26, and they were basically set to balance those reservoirs. And I think I've told you before, but the problem is when you put extra water down in the lower reservoir, according to the Colorado River Compact, they have a right to divide it up and take it. So it has just been a mess because they've been overusing somewhere in our area. So they're 7.5 million, they've been pulling about 10.5 million this last year. So it's a real problem. And until the Bureau of Reclamation actually holds their feet to the fire, it's not going to. We'll never have Lake Powell Mead full again. So it's a serious problem that's going on. There's some serious negotiations going on about it. But see what happens, because I think basically it's at a standoff right now between the upper basin states and the lower basin, and that's going to put it up to the Bureau of Reclamation to make a decision, I'm afraid, which may not be in our favor since there's about 40 million people that depend on that river. We're outnumbered by ways, so it will be in our favor. But it's the way it goes. You can't reach an agreement to hopefully something will happen before then. I'll look that up. The other thing is Colorado's developing some new measurement rules for all of the irrigation districts in the state. They're going through ours right now. They had some earlier meetings here a year ago around the state. And basically what it's going to make is your measurement rules for measuring the water have to be up to date. And it's going to affect a lot of people all through the community, especially all the adjudicated rights. Not so much on, like if you're on the river ditch or the root island, you're not going, because that's pretty much run by the ditch company. Just their main head gate have to be up to par. But all the individuals that have their own individual head gates and stuff, they're going to have to meet these measurement rules. And so it's going to be coming out here in the next couple of years. It's going to be put into effect. So it will affect a lot of people, including the town. You know, because you've got the same situation where you come out of the river up there. You're gonna have to have a certain type of system in there to measure the water. And if it's not there now, you're gonna have to do it whenever they enforce the rules, so it'll be something that's coming up. But there is over at Southwest Water Conservation, we're trying to work. Hopefully we're gonna develop some type of grant program to get people some help to meet these standards too. So we may be able to, if they get in place, you need some help, you may be able to apply over there for some grant money to help to get this all brought up to standard. Hopefully we can get that into effect. Otherwise, the county's been actually kind of settled down as far as land use stuff. Haven't had a lot of stuff coming through. Meetings have been very short. Had more issues with the Forest Service and the sheriff and the fence in the Chicken Creek area.
What are you talking about, Gerald?
Yeah.
I just want to thank all the people that showed up now. I'm glad to see that much support coming out of them for our public lands. People should have shown up. Even though the sheriff told them not to, I'm glad they did. They should have. Anyway,
Thank you, Gerald.
Thank you. All right, next up is Region 9 update. No update? Okay. Make's Planning Commission update?
Attended the meeting last week, and they appointed, which you will see on here, Ed Hallam to be the alternate, and that was pretty much it for the meeting.
Okay. Cool, thank you. Thank you for going
Yeah.
on a regular basis. And then Montezuma County Planning Commission update. Okay. Make's Creative District update. November 18th, okay. Make's Valley Chamber update.
Chamber just wanted to thank everybody in town for doing a grand autumn eve. Sales were up downtown about 8 to 10%, which is good compared to other nights. Thanks town staff for showing up to business after hours on the 16th, much appreciated. And the visitor center is going to be closed for the season on October 31st. Other than that, series of Q4 events that I can share out to the board and email.
Okay. Maybe share it to Heather and then.
Yes.
Yeah, she can. Cool. Thank you. Mancus School District update.
Yes, it's all about the SRO. I mean, there was some other stuff going on, but I kind of got lost with all the SRO stuff. I know some parents they're trying to push for an athletic trainer at the school. That was one thing I remember from the meeting. But obviously the big thing is that last night we met with Justin and Heather and the school board and a couple of committee members, and I had to leave before it finished, but Heather has gotten all the updates that we needed. All that red line stuff got worked out, and should be signing that MOU soon.
All right, thank you. All right, so moving on to our discussion and action items portion of our agenda, affirm appointment of Ed Hallam to the Planning Commission.
Yes, Ed Hallam submitted his application to fill an alternate position. We have 2 vacant alternate positions. So at their meeting last week, the Planning Commission is asking the board to affirm their appointment of Ed to fill one of those vacant positions. And then if you all do that tonight, then there will still be 1 vacant alternate position on the Planning and Zoning Commission. So if you're talking to people in town, encourage them to fill out a letter of interest and send it on over. We all know Ed has a ton of experience. He was mayor in the 80s. He served on the board on and off for years and years, and he recently was term limited in April. His term ended in April of this year, and he was term limited, so he which we appreciate. I
Alright.
do need a motion, I do need a roll call.
Okay. All right, so I would entertain a motion and a second.
I move to affirm the appointment of Ed Hallam to the Planning Commission as an alternate.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Ed is on planning and zoning. All right, the next item is La Mesa liquor license renewal.
I will refer to Jamie on this one.
La Mesa is up for their yearly renewal. They've had no violations. The marshal's office is good with this. It's also known as Chavalo's, just in case you didn't know.
Right. So I would look for a motion. Oh, wait, do we have to do a public hearing?
No, no,
Not for renewal.
Okay. So I would look for a motion and a second.
Make a motion to approve the La Mesa Mexican Restaurant liquor license renewal and authorize the town clerk treasurer to submit the renewal application to the Department of Revenue.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Let's go ahead and take a vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee McManny. Trustee David Payton.
Aye.
Trustee Daniel Hennick.
Aye.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
All right, it passes. Next item is bear and wildlife discussion. Justin, come on up.
So, everybody knows about the bears.
The Bears.
The bears.
The bears. So, main thing is, for board discussion on this is we're going into the hibernation season of the bears. So this is the best time to start trying to do outreach and then get the trash companies in the school district compliant with being bear aware, bear resistant trash cans in town. Not sure why we ended up with the two big boards in town. We should have had picked where they could have eaten natural food sources. And then I wanted to also take the time to get the misconceptions. A lot of people think that bears are a 3-strike rule. Once they're trapped, that's their only chance. Next time they're trapped, they're usually missed. And so through this process, it takes about 7 hours on average of say wildlife time just to take the bear from the trap to the relocation site, which generally, I think their average is about 100 miles from the trap site. Sometimes they go towards Pagosa, sometimes they go up more towards the Glade area. And then with the marshal staff helping Parks and Wildlife out, all we do is we just refresh, open and close the trap so we don't end up with kids or pets getting into the trap during the day. So the main thing is by state statute, it says it has to be secured in layman's terms. So like Dolores uses cables. And as long as the bear doesn't get into the trash, that meets the statute. But if the bear gets into the trash, then it doesn't meet the statute. So the school has a chain over their dumpsters, but the bears are getting into the dumpsters. So they're not meeting the state wildlife statute because the bear's still getting in there. And then the issue, I'm not trying to pick on the school district, but they feed 550 kids 4 days a week for 2 meals, breakfast and lunch. So that's a lot of waste coming out of the school district into the trash cans. And that's why we get the bears going to the school, because it's more than a restaurant services in town for waste food and their food source. So on that, I also want to kind of stress, because I am very passionate about this and being a good steward of wildlife. As long as it's no different than our water resources, we need to protect our wildlife resources for future generations in the Memphis Valley, just like we're trying to be good stewards of water. So I wanted to bring it up and let the board ask any questions, have any discussions, especially on sending the town ordinances to the trash companies, the school district, and then any other questions you guys have for what the marshal's office has done in the system, relocating these bears.
And we posted something on the Facebook page, right?
Mercedes isn't here this week, I would have to.
Oh, okay,
Sorry,
that was,
I don't-
no, that was the thing, yeah.
But what he did include in here is a draft letter with a copy of our relevant code sections that we're sending to the school district, to the trash companies, and that kind of. We're gonna start there.
And one thing I will also add to that is our code actually has more teeth than the state wildlife officials because they have to write a written warning prior to the citation.
Mm-hmm.
So marshal's office can write based on our ordinance, and they have to write a warning, then the citation.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, the goal is roughly 6 months of education going into when bears become more active. We generally, I think the earliest in the almost 6 years I've been here now, we've seen bears July in town, and it's generally when berry crop starts coming in on the river versus early coming out of hibernation. They're not generally in town until mid-July, and then, but this is the most activity we've seen.
Terry had one in his tree a few years back, about 10 years maybe. That was exciting. Yeah, I just think, I think it's a good course to get them, the waste management and all the other waste companies to, maybe start providing some bear resistant containers for us. And I think also educating the public on, how to, it's never bear proof because, they can go right through the wall of your house if they want to. But I think educating people on how to lessen the chance that the bears would come by is a really good idea. So when Mercedes gets back, not getting emotional, I'm having allergies.
Well, I am. And the main thing that I want, with us doing this, the board's gonna get the complaints because essentially what we're doing is the citizens are gonna have most likely a higher trash bill. Because a lot of our trash are beside our trash trucks. So that means the driver's gotta get out of each individual receptacle, unhook it, dump it, put it back down. They're not gonna rehook it, I can guarantee that. And then they're gonna drive 20 feet and do the same thing over. So doing this, it's a lot of thought because it is gonna affect our citizens on a monthly bill. There's no way that they're not gonna charge it. It's just not gonna happen. So they're gonna charge more per monthly rate. So, and it goes for our trash can, the wastewater plant. We're gonna have to make it bear proof. So it's gonna be same thing. So it's, the town as a whole is affected as well as its citizens. And that's the main point of this discussion is when we start enacting this, it's not so much gonna be me getting complaints, it's gonna be no different than water rate increases or sewer rate increases coming to the board for that.
Well, there's obviously a need, because we've had multiple bears in town this year, and think that that's gonna change moving forward. I think we're gonna continue seeing more animals moving around town as we encroach on their territory. So, as far as price increases, our price for trash increases already without providing another service. So I feel like that's not really, we're gonna hear about it one way or the other. And we can just, as a board, direct them to the commercial company that provides that and say, you wanna complain to them. We live in bear country, we should be bear compliant. Our code has been around since 2008. So I think we should just enforce the code that we already have, and we'll take it, I don't care.
All right. So,
Question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any objections to the letter and the attached code being sent out now, and then again in June, as a reminder, and then,
Only thing I'd say is maybe we do mention that there are grant opportunities out there for the bear resistant from the state as part of that letter.
and then
Thanks.
I was also going to ask Mercedes, 'cause this is pretty dry. So I was also gonna ask Mercedes from starting in March through May, to create some, hey, just remember, bear proof, that kind of thing. And just kind of like we're doing with the snow starting on November 15th. Any objections to any of that? Anything happen?
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
I realized I totally skipped over audience business. But there was nobody signed up. So I think we're good. All right. And I just want to say that I happened to be on the board in 2008 when we passed that. And the wildlife officer came and he gave a little talk, and we all just approved it. He was like, and then we moved on to the next item, and he said, wait, what just happened? And we said, oh, we approved it. And, it just blew his mind, because other towns nearby, that start with the letter D, Durango, they've been wrestling with this idea for 20 years or more. And so if the wildlife officer just, we're a little town, we don't have time and money to waste on this stuff. So, yeah, anyway, good for us, and now it's becoming really imperative that we do something, so, yeah. All right. So, 2024 Public Art Update.
So I wanted to give you an update on this. I've also given you a handout that I received via email from Chelsea, the executive director of the Minnetonka Creative District. She's out of town, couldn't be here. But so you at two previous meetings, the board approved a public art project for 2024 for the Lions Club large pavilion in Boyle Park. Chelsea has reached out multiple times, email, phone, not getting a response back from the Lions Club, because your approval was conditional upon written permission from the Lions Club. So I wanted to touch base with you, we're getting kind of farther along in the year, and see how you wanted to proceed. This is solely at your discretion, so you all can do whatever you want to do. I've given you a couple of options to get the discussion going, but you can continue, you can say just keep reaching out to the Lions Club. You can say the mural that you selected be placed somewhere else, maybe on the front of the community center or something. You can move the $3,000 from 2024 to the 2025 budget. and have $6,000 available. We can republish an RFP for proposals, that's not my favorite. Or you can work with a selected artist to go in a different direction, and that is what Chelsea sent me via email, which I have handed out to you. And I'll share it with everybody when we're done here, but that artist that we chose has given you some other options on like the back of town hall, or the wall here leading up to the side door. Those are the suggestions, so I just need some feedback from you all to, so I can work with Chelsea to figure out what we want to do.
Did someone else just reach out to him maybe? Like what is?
Lions Club?
Yeah, it just seems very odd.
Well, when it was presented to the board, we kind of talked about not having permission at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure exactly where the communication is breaking down, but they didn't have permission in August or September when we talked about this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, didn't she come back though and say that they had gotten they had at least touched base about it? I thought there was some communication where they thought that it was going to be okay.
Talk about it at the board meeting and get back to her.
Okay.
And there's been no response to her since then. So
yeah. I kind of think just shift it to next year's budget. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think if the artist is excited to still do work, it's in this year's budget. And I was looking at this thinking like, just give them another week, just so we can officially say, if we don't hear back, we're gonna move on. And I like the idea of art on town-owned buildings. The location here is pretty great. It does seem a little bit hidden. Something I think of like the sketch or the sample sketch. It'd be nice if it was a little bit more visible, but.
you could ask them to put it on the back of town hall.
Yeah, the marshal's office. I was wondering if you would be up for.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think it would be a nice way to make it a more friendly building. So.
We have some ideas when it's fully constructed.
Oh,
If you
okay.
guys want to do this, that's what we have. What I will say is this artist has submitted proposals to you for the last several years. They are very interested in looking at it.
It would be nice to get it, to fulfill the obligation and get it done, even if it's in a different place, and even if it's a different art piece. Because it just opens us up next year to do it with a different artist, or we could have two.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if I put myself in their shoes, it's like, you said yes.
Yeah. True.
I'm sure they're excited to do something, so I feel like we should honor that commitment.
Yeah, I don't think the Lions Club being unresponsive should impact the artist.
Exactly. It's not on them, it's not on us.
I would think I would like it on our public property.
Yeah.
Just so that we have ownership of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not this ambiguity with who owns it, who's got the Lions Club has that shelter, but we own the park, and it's just weird. Like I wasn't happy with that in the first place.
Yeah.
And I was worried about there being a lack of communication between the entities in that. So I wasn't at that meeting, the first meeting, because I was out of town in August. But that was, I think, one of my comments I had in my.
Yeah, now here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're getting into the season. The only question I have, I guess, would be is it too late to do a painting right now, a mural, without it impacting the durability of the mural with the freezing temperatures?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough time for paint to still. I mean, I've been painting still.
I just don't know if it would seal and hold up after with cold temperatures.
We paint the outside houses, and that's 50 degrees minimum outside.
But what type of paint are you using?
All kinds of stains.
Yeah, it's so dry. It's so dry here that.
And then you just tape it, and you dry it overnight, so it can dry fully.
Well, I just want to make sure that that's going to be taken into account if we continue for this year.
We don't want it to start flaking
Or
off.
cracking or anything like that.
If you choose to move forward in order to make sure that that concern is addressed, I will discuss with Chelsea adding a maintenance or rejuncture that, revisit next spring or something.
Yeah.
I mean, nice part about
To
that.
make sure that that's, if you choose to go there, if you choose to go to the marshal's office or behind town hall, then either way, I'll make sure that there's a provision in there that if they're doing work this year, that we get some kind of guarantee that
Yeah.
it will last or they will come back.
I mean,
As far as location is, I would prefer to see it in a more visible one, especially if it's like this example, the sketch has like, can you find, with like a list on there for kids, they're more likely gonna see it from the park side of town than over here off of the main street and being right here in that little alcove.
I think for that particular piece of art, you're right, it's not a great fit for that spot.
Well, it's just, it's hidden, it's so hidden, like.
yeah. I'm kind of visualizing, because I really liked the idea of the one that was going to go on the pavilion. And I'm wondering if she could do it as almost like chair rail height in a band, either like you were saying at the community center, that's pretty visible.
Or in front of town hall and the windows.
Yeah,
That faces around.
yeah, something like that. Because I really liked that idea. This one I'm not as enamored of.
So maybe we reach out to Chelsea and have her reach out to the artist and see if that's something that they would be willing to do.
Well, what I might do, because I'm the farthest thing from an artist you'll ever find, what I might do is tell Chelsea, you know what, we really like this idea. We're not sold on this.
The original idea.
The original.
We're not sold on this location. You like this idea?
No, the original idea.
But maybe put that on a different location.
Yeah.
I think to your point, the artist would be the one to decide if they can do it.
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna see if maybe, we can, I don't know if we have time, but, see if Chelsea and the artist would come to the next board meeting, but that just puts us 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I have consensus from you to say we like the original idea, put it somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you don't like this because it's like you want it visible. Are you okay if I tell Chelsea we want the original idea? Can we sit down with the artist and either do it at the community center underneath the windows, or do it in the front of town hall under the windows, or do it in the marshal's office, or you know, something where it's more visible? Is that what you guys are looking for?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Original idea, different location, visible.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will reach out to Chelsea tomorrow, and once we figure out what we're doing, I will meet with her and the artist, and once we figure out what we're doing, I will come back to you and say, here's what's happening. If that cannot work, if the artist is like, nope, I only want to do that piece of art right there, do we say, sorry, it's got to wait until next year, we're out of time?
Yeah, unless they can connect with the Lions Club.
Not this one in a more visible location.
No, I don't care for this new one.
Is that, and so that's okay for the rest of the board. I've got consensus, I guess that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I know it's Cindy,
Yes.
I just want to make sure. All right, so if we can't do the original artwork in a more visible location on a town-owned facility, then the $3,000 will be put towards 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if they get with the Lions Club and they're able to actually get it done before it's too cold.
I mean, they can paint it in the winter, that's
Visible.
visible, yeah, nice white walls, right?
Visible to the public.
I was just gonna say, at some point, well, I'll get back to it once I figure out what's happening.
Maybe it would bring more people in.
All right,
I highly doubt that.
All right.
thank you.
Yeah.
Some
Thank
people
you.
on the wall.
Third quarter 2024 work plan and financial update.
just our standard third quarter for you all. I don't know if you have any questions. We've updated the 2024 work plan to show you where we are as of the end of September. And we included the third quarter financials to show you where we are as of the end of September. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, concerns, or discussion.
It's nice seeing those completions adding up. It's got to be really nice for you all.
It is very nice. And yeah, you'll see more at the end of when we do the fourth quarter. Yes.
I noticed something today, just for the website purpose. When I was downloading the file today, is there a way to switch the order of the agendas and minutes to the most recent top?
Please.
Instead of it being the other way? It goes right now, January 1 at the very top of the list, and you have to scroll all the way down.
Yeah.
Can we flip that possibly? So that
Seems
the most
like-
recent one is up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit of time.
That's fine.
But we will
I just
absolutely make that happen.
literally saw it today when I was downloading my packet on this computer, because I usually get it on my phone. And then I downloaded it on here today, and I just realized that.
For Mercedes when she gets back to that.
Cool.
So, yes,
Awesome.
we will make that happen.
All right. So, thank you. Moving right along to item number 6, which is the item that we added. Objection to HR 3557.
And so Shaq is still here, so what I sent you all via email, and then I provided it all to you, there's a copy for the permit file, if anybody needs it, but, so there is broadband legislation. Bottom line is we're using local control. It imposes some pretty short timelines. If we receive applications from private companies to work in the rights of way, it limits the amount of money we can charge for use of our rights of way. But the bottom line is it removes local control. So I have included some kind of concerns, and when I say we and Jack included some concerns and some pros and cons to you all. But what I wanted to ask you was, does the town of Memphis want to send an official objection? Many municipalities and counties across the state are doing this. I've given you some examples in the packet. And the reason that I have brought this to you is historically, the town of Memphis opposes anything that removes our control. We may ultimately agree with whatever they're legislating. However, anytime the state is trying to usurp our authority to legislate for our town and our citizens, we want to think twice about it, and we may want to consider opposing it. So that is why this was brought to you, because it's a pretty big deal as far as taking our control away. The other piece of that is we are a very small municipality, a very small staff, so we rely on outside consultants for some of this professional technical review. And the turnaround time in this legislation, if we do not meet, if somebody submits and our consultants are busy or they can't meet the quick deadline, it is deemed automatically approved, and that company can come in and do whatever they want in town, and you can't say anything about it. So that's the down and dirty. Does the board want me to submit a letter on town letterhead from the town of Memphis opposing this legislation?
Do you need consensus or a vote?
I would like a vote.
Okay.
Just because I will be signing the letter, so I would like a vote on the board of trustees authorizing me to send a letter in opposition, and then I can take it.
All right. I would look for comments, concerns, questions, and or motion in a second.
Make a motion to approve the town administrator to draft a letter in opposition to HR 3557 and send it to the state legislature.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further conversation? All right. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Brett McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning. Trustee David Payton. Trustee Daniel Bennett.
Aye.
Trustee Andres Esparza.
All right, thank you all. Okay, so items for November 13, 2024 meeting, October bills and claims, social media protocols, tentatively for the workshop, but I think we talked about that at our workshop. Student liaison update, land use code discussion, anything else?
Yes, actually, the dog discussion is taking place with the social media protocols.
Okay.
We're gonna talk, you guys at the last meeting.
Oh, yes.
Licensing and leashes and voice.
Oh,
So
dog.
Yeah, so I put together some.
I was like, is that some acronym for something we should know about? Department of
I thought you said jog, and I'm like, I'm not jogging.
So that will be discussed in the workshop instead. And
Okay.
then
So many
additional
acronyms, I thought it was
items,
an acronym.
additional items are the MOU with the school district for the SRO, the MOU with CDOT for the pedestrian crossing grades, the accessibility consultant contract. That relates solely back to the website updates for ADA and that kind of thing. David's reviewed that we want to hire a consultant to assist us with. If someone comes in with a disability, we here, staff, we don't know sign language, so we are consulting with a company that will be able to provide services to the disabled when they come into our office or need some help with something.
Nice.
Cool.
Those items will all be on the November 13th agenda, and then whatever comes up between now and then, or if I hear something from, and I don't know if anybody has anything they want to add. And then our retreat is on the 16th.
And I just want to say thank you all for being amenable to that. I have another funeral. Seems to happen every time. Yeah, nice. All right. I would then entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
You got
Daniel's got it down.
Yeah. All right. We are adjourned here, 8:20.